Alright, so we're back on the loop box, interface box project. Unfortunately, the camera puked up the construction video, the last part of it, of the wiring of this thing. So I'm going to just have to give you a quick look at the internals and how it all goes together, so or how it all went together. See, we've got labeled out the delay mute, the harmonizer loop, bleh, harmonizer mute, the loop activate. Got your input, send and return and output, your right in, your left in, your right out, your left out for your dry, and then your feeds for your delay right and left, and your feeds for your harmonizer right and left. All right, so let's just open it up real quick here, and we can kind of show you what's going on in there. Get this guy open. Lots of screws. Okay. So here is the internals. We used basically just 22 gauge wire for everything. There's no shielding or anything. It's not really necessary in a box like this. Basically, I mean, the whole case is shielded, so there won't be any interference from outside EMF. And internally, if you're kind of careful about the way you route everything, you won't get any coupling. But in effects pedals, you don't really have to worry too much about that sort of thing going on. So you could just go ahead and use bare wire. We have our three switches here with the illuminated rings around them, and we can kind of grab a power supply and show you how all that works. But basically, I guess the useful information here would be, according to the diagram, we followed the diagram closely, but here would be just like a sample of one of the switches that I'm going to kind of, place down here for you, so you can sort of see what's going on and how we ended up doing everything. And these would be the poles for the switches right here, and this would be the LED terminals for connecting power to the LED. And obviously you want the LED to be switched on, when the pedal is activated. So you're going to use a set of switch terminals to operate the LEDs and to bring your power to them. So basically we have our power inlet, right, which is our little red guy up here with its two positive and negative, its corresponding terminals. So what we ended up doing was, let's say for the center one, this would be an easy one to do. We put a resistor in here, right? Our current limiter, okay, from the center across. So this is the contact, and these two are the variables, so to speak. So this would be your pole, and these would be your variable poles. So either this would be switched on or this side would be switched on. Then what we ended up doing was we ran all of these in what would basically be series, like a Christmas tree, right? So we had our positive and negatives. So we ran our negative to this point, and our positive over here to this point, right? So, and each positive went to the next, from our unit, from our inlet up there, and negative to negative, so they're in series. So basically the way that this switch ends up working is that in where we want it illuminated, well, we've also got, I should say, this right here, right? So negative's connected always to the negative, and we're just using this really as a tie point, a convenient tie point, this other lug on the switch. So we have a resistor here, and I believe we used what was that right there? A 1K resistor. So what happens is when this side closes, you energize the LED, and when this side closes, you end up basically just shunting your 1K across the ground, and the light will go off. And in each case, each one of these is set up the same way, and you can move where you want your positive and your negative, flip those if you want a different set of variable switches or different, you know, side to be active when the light's on. So in this case, the way I have it, these mean on and these mean off for in terms of the LED, right? LED operation. So when this side is closed, your lamp is on. When this side is closed, your lamp is off. So you make your other functions correspond to the light. The way you have it set up, the lamp, the way you have it set up, so that way, you know, it makes sense. It works when you the lamp turns on when you want it to. All right, so let me get a power supply. I don't know what I did with my power supplies. Hang on a second. All right, much apologies, but we got a little one spot here, and these are kind of cool, and I can actually show you a project we might do with the one spot, which would be a way to utilize it and make yourself a breakout box for it. So you can mount the breakout box on your pedal board and supply all your pedals from the one spot without using that goofy daisy chain thing that comes with it. So I like the supply, and I really think in a lot of applications, it does lead to a very quiet pedal board. You don't necessarily need isolated supplies for each pedal for your board to be quiet. So anyway, let's plug us in. Okay, so let me turn off the light in here so we can see better, right? So we got the delay, the harmonizer on, loop on. So it's kind of a cool, I like these, I really like the illuminated rings. I mean, if you saw the previous video, there is a problem with them. And, you know, if I was to get the manufacturer's ear, I would say extend the threaded portion of the unit a little bit so that it could go through, you know, even something simple like this, you know, a 1/16 inch thick box. Because that's what these are going to be used for, you know, a Hammond box. And if it can't really make it through comfortably and get a lot of turns on your nut, it doesn't make sense. So try to change them maybe and make them a little bit longer. But in general, I like the switch. All right, so we've got the switches all wired up per this way. We've got our harmonizer and delay parts, which are just basically grounded. Either allowing the signal to go through or grounding the signal, but it's done on the other side of the switch so you don't end up affecting anything else that's prior to it. It'll just ground the input to the harmonizer or ground the input to the delay. And there's a phase issue for why you want to ground it versus bypass it on these units. All right, and when we build this pedal board out, I'll sort of show you why and that exact phasing issue, how it sounds, and how this is a fix for it, and actually that the phasing issue is a plus when you're trying to get this particular LWAN tone. It has something to do with the sound. When you combine the harmonizer and delays and dry signals all in parallel, right? Those different phase angles tend to create an interesting sound. So I think that's good for looking at the internals of the box for this video. So the next you see me, or see us, or see my hands, or whatever, we're going to go over, we finished building the actual pedal board itself. It's a rudimentary 2-level board made out of some Baltic birch. It only took, I don't know, 40 minutes, a half an hour to build, with a table saw, a nail gun, some glue. Very easy. We're not looking to spend a lot of time on that. If we wanted to, we could do an exotic wood pedal board and do, you know, dovetail joints or finger joints or whatever suits your fancy, and polish it up, you know, urethane it or lacquer it and make it look like, you know, a piece of Chippendale furniture or something. But for me, that's not my style. So I like things to look kind of raw. So we just use plain Baltic birch. And we've added a few things to the board as well. And we have a couple of more things that we're going to have to build to make the pedal board operational. And we're going to show you how all that goes. So stick around and we'll get to that next. All right, so thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.